You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 676.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. With your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded the week of September 1st, 2025.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, turbulence causes injuries on 2 commercial flights in Texas and in South Korea. And Spirit Airlines tries to reassure passengers as it files for its second bankruptcy in less than a year. Also ahead, more news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger. Flight 676 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the #1 all news station in the nation. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in
New York City.
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain. And joining me from his studio,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire,
retired professional dog photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, refired Airbus A330. I didn't know you'd been fired to begin with. Okay. Refired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. Hi, Liz. I was going to say hi, everybody, but there isn't everybody here tonight. Okay,
yeah.
APG 676. Staff Sergeant Turner was a gunner aboard a B-52, tail number ending in 676, and he became the first air gunner to down an enemy fighter, a MiG-21 no less, during the Vietnam War. He fired about a 7-second burst, expending 694 rounds, I guess they counted them, from his 4 Browning 50 caliber machine guns. His skill at operating his gunnery radar equipment, they don't say he did an optical shoot here, it was all done using radar, won him the Silver Star, no less. That's very impressive. And there he is, gripping his very big gun.
And I must say, that is quite a big gun he has there.
Yeah, 50 caliber, definitely. In fact, 4 of them, which is pretty unusual for most B-52 crew.
I like the grip he has on that thing. All right, and also joining us from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer, it's Liz Piper.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to September.
Oh, yeah. Great month.
Hey, did I mention I went and saw a Earth, Wind, and Fire cover band at the Velvet Note, that jazz club I like going to?
You mentioned you got tickets, but I didn't know what happened.
I did actually go.
good.
And it was
Was it
awesome.
great?
Yeah. Speaking of September.
Well, I was just going to mention that September is 9 months after Christmas. So you know what happens at Christmas, don't you?
Apparently, because you were born on the 9th of September. So I think we have an idea.
Yeah, but could have been a couple of weeks premiere. You never know.
Yeah, true.
Okay,
Well,
let's do some news.
All right, let's do that.
Stand by for news.
Let's start off with this first news item, which involves some video in reference to a Skywest Embraer 175 en route from somewhere in Colorado, I think.
Aspen, Colorado.
Aspen, Colorado to Houston,
Austin,
Texas.
Austin.
No, they were going to Houston. That's where they wanted to go.
Okay. All
But
right,
they
got it.
diverted to
Yep.
Austin because of,
Got it.
well, because of this.
A heart-pounding scene aboard the Skywest flight after severe turbulence suddenly rocked the cabin. Oxygen masks dropping from overhead.
We hit really, really bad turbulence, and I've never seen anything like this.
The flight
Never
with
seen
39
anything like this,
passengers
she
on
said.
board traveling from Aspen, Colorado to Houston, making an emergency landing 165 miles short in Austin. Passengers tossed around.
Someone in front of me hit the ceiling several times. Grown man flew up like a rag doll.
On the radio, pilots calling ahead for help.
We will need a stretcher, and I know that there is bleeding as well.
2 passengers taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, purses and papers scattered into the aisle, soda dripping from the ceiling, and what appears to be a laminated food menu piercing the roof.
My iPad and phone, are 3 or 4 or 5 rows back.
I looked down and there was a cell phone in my lap that wasn't mine that came I guess it flew up and landed in my lap.
That incident amid an already bumpy start to the Labor Day travel weekend, from crowded airline terminals to that system failure at Newark Airport. The FAA still investigating what caused those ATC radios to malfunction in one of America's busiest airspaces.
And I took that cell phone that fell in my lap and I called my friend and said, "You're not going to believe this, but there's this this card that just stuck up in the ceiling. I've never seen anything like that."
Well, I phoned my friend, but she wouldn't pick up because she didn't know the number.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay. So I'm thinking to myself, looking at that animation on the video, thinking, that must have been clear air turbulence or something, right? Because, I'm not seeing any weather at all. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. Looking at the path of their flight and going through northern Texas, and it's a little colorful, the radar returns. And I think I know why now they encountered this severe turbulence.
So it wasn't clear air. It was
not clear
turbulent air.
It was
Dirty
due
air.
to dirty air, cumulonimbus, and big storm cells that they either flew through or very close, way too close to, maybe right over the top of it, thinking, we can clear this. Now, Captain Nick and I know that when you're trying to get around or over the top of some of this very, very convective activity, even though it looks clear above the clouds, it may not be smooth. So, again, it's really hard to tell from just looking at these returns, as far as was this exactly what, was happening at the moment that they were, passing through that area or not. But we have a good idea that, thunderstorms had something to do with this incident.
Yeah, you're quite right, Jeff. If you look at the books and give the approved amount of clearance from any QNIM, it often is incredibly impractical, particularly when you've got a line of weather like this crew were trying to get around or indeed through, because they had eventually penetrated at some point, and if they'd made their decision a bit earlier, if they'd known what was going to be ahead of them, they probably would have gone to the west of the whole line and been in good conditions throughout. But they stayed to the east of it, and then I guess they thought they saw a gap through between 2 clusters of
Mind the gap.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't actually hit the gap particularly well, and they obviously clobbered one of them. They were up at 390, so these must have been pretty powerful storms to have got up to them there. But you just got to be so careful when you've got these kind of conditions.
This time of year, especially in Texas, those things can easily get up to 50,000 or higher. So
everything's big in Texas.
Everything's bigger in Texas for sure. So, hey, well, looky here. I see somebody who has joined us. And let's introduce him. From the north woods of the Atlanta suburbs, a race car driver, self-taught chef, and a commercial multi-engine instrument-rated pilot with interest in anything with enough horsepower to kill him, AJ Schramm.
Hey guys, glad to be here. Good to see you guys. Sorry I'm late.
Hey, you have, unlike the rest of us, you actually have a job.
Yeah, you know.
So, yeah, work. Glad to see it. So we've only just begun. We are covering the first news item involving the Embraer 175 Skywest that got really, really close or flew through some convective activity, some big old thunderstorms over there in Texas, and they had to divert. There was a little bit of injury. And blood was dripping from Coca-Cola was dripping from the ceiling. Coca-Cola. Anyway, so, what, now I'm thinking to myself, they didn't mention it in this video that we played, nor in the narrative of the article that we have that will be in the show notes if you want to read it yourself. Nothing, no mention whether or not these people were wearing their seat belts.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Wearing seat belts. You think that may have, been a factor? I think so. All right.
Well, Texas isn't the only place turbulence.
Well, no, you're right, Liz. Texas is not the only place where they have turbulence. This next item from the Aviation Herald, avherald.com, a JAL, Japan Airlines Boeing 787-900, registration I just did that for people that can't stand it when I do that. 787-9, registration Juliet Alpha 863 Juliet, Juliet Alpha, that's like AJ backwards. Performing flight 22 from Beijing, China to Tokyo's Haneda airport. How am I doing?
Haneda. Yes,
Haneda, thank you. With 121 passengers and 11 crew, they were en route at flight level 410. Oh, maybe that's where I got the 410, Nick. Maybe that's what's sticking in my mind.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think the previous aircraft had been at 39.
Okay, thank you. We care about accuracy here at the APG.
At least 50% of the time.
That's what we shoot for.
And this is a year ago that this happened.
That's right. It is a year ago, September 4th of 2024. They were about 110 nautical miles east of Seoul, South Korea, when the aircraft encountered turbulence, causing a flight attendant to suffer injuries. The aircraft continued to destination for a landing without further incident. Let's see. The Japan's Transportation Safety Board, TSB, reported that the aircraft encountered a lateral upset side to side. In other words, banking, actually, not lateral, causing the flight attendant to hit the right-hand side hard. I guess their right-hand side. As the occurrence happened within the airspace of South Korea, South Koreans investigatory agency was going to decide about the investigation. But then Japan's TSB finally got tired of waiting, apparently, and went ahead and did the report on their own. And so they concluded in their progress report 1 year later, based on the information obtained so far in the investigation, it is necessary to further analyze the incident and to hear opinions from parties involved in the cause and from relevant countries. I guess they're not happy that Seoul's not really doing anything here. En route at flight level 410 with no clouds around, unlike the previous news item, and calm airflow, the aircraft, upon nearing waypoint Pilot, P-I-L-I-T, rolled briefly from left to right, then encountered rough shaking. The shaking subsiding quickly. When the aircraft rolled left to right, a senior flight attendant slid sideways and fell onto the shelf of a vacant seat, number 2 Delta, hitting his or her right-hand side and right-hand arm. Following the encounter, it appeared as if the flight attendant was able to continue work and continued, they continued working. And then the aircraft continued to Tokyo. And after landing, the flight attendant went for a medical check at a hospital due to increasing pain and was diagnosed with a fractured rib.
So let me get this right. They know the arm that was injured and the rib that was injured, but they don't know if it was a man or a woman?
Well, sometimes it's hard to tell, AJ. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
They haven't had a chance to interview them yet.
Yeah.
So.
Apparently the investigation didn't require them to take their pants down or something. I don't know. Anyway, so, yeah, I thought that was interesting that they decided to be a little, whatever there in that report.
They weren't being gender specific.
They were not being gender specific. They should have said their left or right side. You're right, AJ. I mean, come on.
Hey, that was 2024, so you can't assume things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so if there's no clouds, no weather phenomenon. Then I'm wondering, was this like somebody bumping the control yoke, or was it like some kind of a anomaly with the autoflight system? Could be white turbulence.
UFO?
They don't mention anything about. You're right. Could have been an alien in a UFO whizzing by that they couldn't really see because it was going like 1 million times the speed of sound.
And it was invisible.
And invisible. That's possible. I'm not ruling anything out here, but it is a little interesting.
Was it a male alien or a female alien?
I'm not sure if it was a male or female alien, Liz. They did not include that in the report. Anyway, Captain Nick, what do you think about all this?
I think we should move on, personally. This is not the most exciting piece of news I've read.
Hey, we've been working really hard to make it exciting.
It happened a year ago.
Really interesting.
It happened a year ago, and only one person was injured, and that was a medical checkup, really. And a fractured rib, not even a broken rib, just a fractured rib. So,
like, why are we even talking about this?
I could do that, just gardening.
Okay, I got the message. Move on.
No, I think you've just hurt Liz's feelings regarding her choice of this news item. But you know what? I'm glad that you did choose this, Liz, because we got to have a lot of fun, talk about aliens.
And talk
stuff.
aliens, We didn't get zombies in there, but
no zombies.
And pants.
And pants and looking and pulling down pants. And okay, let's move on. This next item is also from the Aviation Herald, involving an Embraer 190 operated by Alliance Airlines on behalf of Qantas, registration Victor Hotel Uniform Yankee Oscar, performing flight 1888 from Cairns to Darwin with 49 passengers. 4 crew was on approach to Darwin's runway 29 in visual meteorological conditions, passing the initial approach fix for the ILS approach, when the approach mode of the autopilot unexpectedly disarmed and reverted to basic flight director mode. The aircraft veered to the right, then left of the ILS approach course before intercepting the localizer again at about the final approach fix. Descending through 1,000 feet, AGL, the aircraft was high and fast and at a high rate of descent. Descending through 500 feet, the crew considered the approach stabilized, though still too fast. The pilot monitoring discovered the flaps had not yet been set to landing configuration. The flaps were extended to landing configuration, and the crew continued the approach for a landing without further incident. Okay, I will say that right off the top of the bat, or top of the whatever, that the airplane didn't crash. There was no incident. Nobody was injured. It was, it turned out well, but it could have been worse, I think.
So you're saying this is less exciting than the last story?
No, this is more exciting because we have a lot more. I have a lot more to say about this one. I'm very happy that Liz picked this. Okay, so I love you too. So this happened February of this year, and in their final report, the Australian Transportation Safety Board, man, they don't fool around. They pop these things out. They issued their final report, concluding the probable causes of the incident were on crossing the initial approach fix for the instrument landing system due either to, you know what? Let me do something. Instead of looking at their conclusions, let's look at their analysis first. Nearing the initial approach fix, LAPAR, for the Darwin Airport runway 29 instrument landing system, ILS Zulu approach, the aircraft's approach, localizer, and glide slope modes were armed, as they should be for when you're cleared for an approach, with the correct ILS frequency set. Okay, good. And armed, as the aircraft flew by LAPAR, the localizer mode engaged for 1 second before the autoflight system reverted to lateral roll and vertical flight path angle modes. Okay, so it got bumped off of the approach mode. basically. It's possible that this occurred due to the captain inadvertently pressing the approach push button at the same time that the localizer was being captured. The captain recalled that this occurred because they received a second ATC clearance for the ILS. However, at the time, they had only been cleared for the ILS once. Kind of weird. They received a second clearance about 50 seconds later, probably because maybe the controller thought or forgot that he had given him the clearance. I don't know. And then a third clearance, another 40 seconds after that. Okay, well, they just want to make sure that they know they're cleared for this approach.
Yeah. Perhaps they weren't replying.
The push button was not recorded in the data, but pressing it when in approach mode, if the approach mode was already armed, would disarm the approach mode, consistent with the mode reversion. Embraer's analysis of the recorded data found that the ILS navigation display source had not engaged at the time the localizer mode became active. Therefore, it was most likely that this non-synchronization led the flight control and guidance system to invalidate the capture and revert to basic modes. All right, let's see. Let's move on a little bit more here. The mode reversion resulted in the aircraft maintaining the 20 degrees right bank. I think it was like in the capture mode of the localizer, and it just continued to do 20 degrees of bank because of the reversion, and it stayed at level flight or approximately level flight path angle. Okay, which is not good, especially if you are wanting to go down on a glide slope. Alliance's procedure stated if the autoflight system is not doing what the pilot expected, okay, they were to disconnect the autopilot and manually fly the aircraft. Now, when I was reading through this to begin with, I'm thinking, okay,
yes,
I got everything armed, but for some reason it's not doing what it's supposed to do. It pops out of the approach mode. Click, 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 right? You turn off everything and you hand fly the airplane. And then maybe you can get this thing under control and get it stabilized and get everything lined up where it's supposed to be, and then maybe re-engage the approach mode again, and then everything's all hunky-dory. But this is not what they did. Am I supposed to be looking at something or saying something right now? I hear people saying things to me. No? Okay.
No, they're just the voices in your head.
Oh, those darn voices in my head. Yes, I agree with Alliance's operating procedures. Okay. So following the unexpected mode change, the captain, who was the pilot flying, did not re-engage the approach mode or disconnect the autopilot until about 200 feet above the aerodrome elevation in accordance with the normal landing procedures. This resulted in the aircraft deviating beyond the permitted tolerance from the localizer course and above glide slope. Let's see, it took less than 3 minutes from mode reversion at 3,000 feet to the aircraft being established on the ILS and in the landing configuration about 400 feet above the aerodrome elevation. During that time, there were several changes to the lateral and vertical modes. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people I'm flying with do this kind of thing, and it's just like, just turn it off. Just fly the airplane. Okay, sorry. Let's see. There were also several triggers for the flight crew to disconnect the approach. The flight crew reported that their en route weather deviations and thunderstorms in the vicinity of the airport may have led to perceived pressure to continue the approach, but that there was adequate fuel on board to discontinue and to continue a second approach.
You can always go around.
Yes, that's always an option. And in this case, probably it would have been a great option. But no, they continued. Once outside the lateral tolerance of the approach, the aircraft was operating contrary to the air traffic control clearance and descended below the minimum safe altitude, likely while in IMC, instrument meteorological conditions. That's dangerous. The pilot monitoring reported that they did not call out the course deviations as the pilot flying was actively working to correct them. Instead, after descending about 500 feet, the pilot monitoring advised air traffic control they were re-intercepting the localizer and was assigned the minimum vector altitude to ensure terrain separation. As a result, the aircraft then maintained altitude while the glide slope diverged beneath the flight path. Oh, great. Okay. So the glide path's going down.
I've seen this movie.
Level, yeah, and I've seen it personally, and it ain't pretty at all when you're in the airplane and you're watching all this happening.
I will say it's better than the inverse.
That's true. It's
when the glide path goes up there.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, but Okay, let's continue. The pilot monitoring did not read back the ATC clearance to descend once they had intercepted the glide slope, consistent with being focused on monitoring tasks and their self-assessed 10 out of 10 workload during the approach. They're really task saturated here, I guess they're trying to say. Pilot monitoring selected flap 2 as the aircraft captured the localizer about 800 feet below the normal but not mandatory 3,000 foot flap 2 selection height. I guess that's in their SOP. Alliance reported that this late selection had a similar effect to other recent approach incidents where the associated delayed speed reduction reduced the time available to stabilize the approach. As the aircraft passed the final approach fix and descended through 1,500 feet above ground, it was established on the localizer but 3 dots above the ILS glide slope. I mean, that's like almost full scale, or maybe it is full scale deflection. That's like, again, hello, that's a trigger.
It's bad.
Go around. Remember this? Always go around. Okay. Alliance's procedures require that the ILS be flown within 1 dot of the glide slope. Again, there were 3 dots above the glide slope.
1 is less than 3, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, okay. In most countries of the world. And stated that the aircraft should be on the 3-degree glide slope no later than 1,500 feet. The pilot flying reported stating to the pilot monitoring that they were visual at about 2,500 feet, but the pilot monitoring reported this occurred just as the aircraft approached 1,000 feet. Without a cockpit voice recording, it could not be determined when VMC, or visual meteorological conditions, were established. At 1,000 feet, which is the stabilization height for an instrument approach, the pilot flying incorrectly assessed that although several stabilized criteria were not met, and they were now in visual conditions, they could continue in that unstable or unstable mode to 500 feet, although this had been the procedure at the pilot flying's former company. Alliance required all stabilized approach criteria other than airspeed to be met at 1,000 feet. So he was mistaken. Again, another trigger should have gone around.
To his previous company.
Yep, the pilot monitoring was sufficiently unsure of Alliance's policy and deferred to the captain's experience, as the captain was the senior base training captain who had conducted some of the pilot monitoring's training. Okay, so we have another factor going on here. At 500 feet, the pilot monitoring assessed that the stabilized approach criteria were met. Although the airspeed was still slightly fast, it was trending down, and they continued the approach. Although the flight crew reported having completed the before landing checks prior to 500 feet, shortly afterwards, the pilot monitoring identified that they had inadvertently selected a takeoff flap setting. So they didn't have as much flaps out as they were supposed to at this point. They did not have a landing flap setting instead of a landing. Yeah, so they didn't detect it. And they did the before landing checklist, apparently, or the landing checklist, but didn't notice that the flaps were incorrectly positioned. The pilot monitoring rectified the flap setting, and an uneventful landing followed. Although the landing was uneventful, had the incorrect flap setting not been rectified or noticed, thrust retard mode would not have engaged during the landing flare, and EGPWS warnings would have been triggered by the use of different tolerances than with the aircraft configured for landing. The use of selected heading and selected altitude to drive the aircraft's trajectory meant that these may not have been set correctly if a go-around had been initiated either by the flight crew or ATC. Got a big mess here going on, right? Yeah, I guess you're getting the picture. And wow, it's a kind of like a minor miracle that something bad didn't happen in this case. But good on, I'm not sure exactly how it was discovered that this all took place. I'm hoping it was that the crew said, you know what, we need to file a report and kind of self-report what happened here.
There was no voice cockpit recorder.
I don't know why there wasn't any voice cockpit recorder going on there, Liz. Or maybe it's one of those things.
Past the 2 hours.
Yeah, so that's what happens a lot of these cases where they forget about, like pulling the breaker. Forget to make sure that the voice recording is saved. Yeah.
Was Captain Nick?
So yeah, Captain Nick. I don't know. What do you think? Is this like a normal approach for you, pretty much in your career?
Oh, done hundreds of them.
Yeah, well, you can say that now.
Absolutely.
No, of course not.
Well, I mean, it worries. There are two main things that worry me. First of all, that the pilot monitoring assessed his workload as 10 out of 10. I mean, this is a pretty standard approach. He might have been IMC to start with, but now he's basically making a VMC approach into Darwin, which is not a hard airport to get into. It's a pretty simple.
I even landed there once. I mean, that's that.
Yeah,
so it must be pretty darn
easy. I've been
easy.
in there a bunch of times. Yeah, and I'm just wondering how you can completely oversaturate yourself from a self-induced error you make on a selection. So. And then you can build it up and make life so hard for yourself that you get the wrong flap setting, that you don't do the checklist correctly, that you bust your company's stabilized approach criteria, which ought to be ingrained in you because they're such an important thing, and particularly the height at which you have to have those achieved by. And there seems to be a great deal of confusion over what their own stabilized criteria were. And they broke them all, so just about. So I've not a great deal of sympathy. And I think it was all just a bit of press-on-itis, rather than saying, this is the most awful approach. Let's go around and do it properly, particularly since we've got effectively here, a base training captain who is demonstrating his skills to a relatively junior first officer. It's an awful example to set, to press on and fight this airplane through all the things you've done wrong and then still insist on continuing with the landing. A much better example would have been to say, I think I've screwed this up enough. Let's go around and do it properly, and I'll show you how it should have been done. And that would have been a great admission that we're all human and we all make mistakes. And, a wonderful example to set to this FO.
Or if they had just if the pilot flying had initially, once, as soon as that autopilot approach mode disconnected or reverted to a manual mode, if they had just done what the company's standard operating procedure is in that case, like disconnect everything, hand fly the airplane, get it all stabilized, get it going down the slope and aligned on the localizer path, and then pushing turning everything back on again and getting that approach mode engaged, would have been fine. But instead, as I said before, having seen this so many times when the other person, the pilot flying, is just getting so frustrated with pushing buttons and trying to get the airplane's autoflight system to get all combobulated because it's in a discombobulated state. It's hard to watch. You're going like, just turn the dang airplane, the autoflight off and just.
Have you ever said that? Have you ever
have I ever said that? Liz is asking. I don't think you know me, I'm just too nice. I never, but usually when you allow somebody to go through all that, I have suggested in a very nice way, a kind way, like, hey, why don't we just go ahead and, turn everything off and fly the airplane. And then, guess what happens? Everything works out really well and you're all nice and stabilized and hit all those criteria for stabilized approach, and then everybody's happy and you don't have to report yourself. Now I'm thinking about all these different things that happened in all the different unstabilized parts of this approach. I'm sure that the airplane probably did a really, really good job of reporting to the company that this happened, right? So I'm not sure that this would be a self-reporting or not.
That's why they didn't go around, is because then somebody would have known.
Yeah. Well, I even think, I don't know what, what all the triggers are and what all the monitors are and the squawking, or not the squawking, what would you say? The devices that monitor how you're performing. I'm not sure what it's a pretty modern airplane, that E190. So I don't know what triggers what. In fact, they never, all the airplanes I've flown, I don't know about you guys, but nobody ever really laid out exactly what it was that the airplane was capable of actually monitoring, and what, what you could get away with, and that's probably a good thing, because if we did know that, we wouldn't like, oh well, that's not monitored on this airplane, so I'm not going to say anything.
I think it triggered you. I think the story triggered you.
Yeah, it has triggered me, Liz, for sure. I'm gonna be okay though.
It's a good thing that they don't tell you the limits, I think, to some extent, because I have one of those personalities where you're like, okay, here's the line, this is it, and I have to go just a little bit over.
Now, we knew what the limits were, but we didn't know exactly what it was that the airplane was capable of knowing. Now, as Captain Nick, I'm sure, will tell you, and most modern airplanes now will do this, it gives you a report like on your takeoff rate of rotation, and also some parameters like your pitch angle when you're touching down for landing, and these kind of things are recorded, right? Don't you normally like get some kind of a report or something, like a slip of paper or something prints out to let you know what it was that you did, how you did? That kind of thing, or not?
If you ever did a firm landing, we always used to automatically print a report 15. Yeah, so you'd know that you'd done a firm landing. But no, the aircraft was downloaded after every flight, and all those parameters that it could record, there are a myriad in the aircraft that I flew, were put through an algorithm which flagged if any exceedances occurred. And the company decided what an exceedance was, but basically if there was a high angle of bank, there was a large speed error, there was a high rate of descent, there was taxiing too fast, lots of things. They would have caught you all the time, Jeff, I know.
Yeah, I did. Actually, that is something that I know that was monitored, and we could pull up on our iPads like some performance parameters and that kind of thing. And every time I looked at mine, a lot of times I had this little orange symbol next to a flight that I did. And I'm thinking, I know what that is. And I think every time it was, my speed was a little bit higher than they liked when I was taxiing the airplane on the ground.
But you got to the gate fast, the passengers.
I got to the gate fast, got the people where they need to be and where they,
you're supposed to be on all three wheels. The
details.
Yeah, exactly right.
What?
So what happened was that if a flag was raised, the flight safety team would take a look at it, and if necessary, they would phone you up and go, do you want to have a chat about this? In fact, they did it very well in my company because everything was de-identified, so that it was just a set of parameters. They didn't know the aircraft date, they didn't know the flight number or anything. And there was only one person who was a trusted pilot, not one of the safety team, who, on behalf of the pilot workforce, was the person they said, okay, we've got these conditions. He was the only one allowed to know who'd done it. And he would then discreetly get in touch with you and say, do you want to put a safety report in because your flight here looked a bit dodgy? And he couldn't make you. But most guys said, I didn't realize that had happened. Yeah, please.
He was just trying to protect you, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly what he was there. He was a sort of a guardian, a buffer between you and the company. So the company wouldn't necessarily know who it was. And the guardian could bring you in and show you the readouts. And in fact, they had a little, simulated instrument panel and pictures of the airplane and things showing you visually what was occurring as well as just numbers. And he would bring you into the office and demonstrate what had gone wrong. And, you could learn a lot from one of those sessions. Luckily, I never got pulled in, but...
That's good. Now, I think that if there's a certain level of items that you're not performing to standards, you get the old dreaded... And this big red light, you're terminated display right in front of you. You never saw that, did you?
No, luckily not.
Okay.
No.
Your wings automatically release from your jacket.
Pop off your shirt. Oh, what happened to my wings?
The big red, you're fired. caption comes on.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to do D and G, and then.
Okay, good. I'm looking forward to.
I'm waiting for D. Yeah, I can't wait
D.
for D.
Yeah. So hey,
AJ on
yes, this one. I'm glad we have AJ with us here. This is just brilliant. Let me get the video set up because the video is going to say it all, basically. And here we go. And this is from, I think the video is actually, from the Australian Transportation Safety Board, the ATSB. And let's hear this wonderful Australian accent.
The ATSB has provided operators and pilots of Cessna 206 aircraft with guidance in the form of 2 safety advisory notices to improve survival in the event of an accident for those on board. The Cessna 206 is a 6-seat high-wing aircraft with a forward cabin door on the pilot's side and a double cargo clamshell-style door on the rear right side of the aircraft. However, when the aircraft's flaps are extended 10 degrees or more, the forward overlapping part of the cargo door is unable to open, requiring a multi-step process to open the rear part of the door to exit the aircraft. This increases the time taken to evacuate the aircraft and the risk of passenger injury if fire or ditching is a factor in the occurrence. The first safety advisory notice aims to ensure passengers have a thorough understanding of the use of the emergency exits with comprehensive pre-flight safety briefings and demonstrations, while the second encourages the removal of the middle row seat or the installation of an approved cargo door modification.
I'm just going to interrupt for a second. Whoever was doing this production with the audio in the background, okay, you can stop the scary music in the background.
These safety advisory notices follow several transport safety investigations that identified difficulties encountered by occupants exiting through the 206's rear cargo door when the wing flaps are extended. Most recently, the ATSB's final report into the collision with terrain involving Cessna U-206F Tango Delta Quebec. On the morning of the 1st of September 2024, the pilot of Tango Delta Quebec took off from a private aircraft landing area about 40 kilometres southeast of Mora in Western Australia to conduct a local scenic flight with 5 passengers on board. After bouncing twice on landing, the pilot attempted a go-around. However, an incorrect flap setting resulted in the aircraft failing to climb, impacting the right wing with terrain before the aircraft came to a stop in an adjacent field. The rear seat passengers, an older person and a child, were unable to exit the aircraft via the closest emergency exit, the cargo doors. The pilot tried to assist them but was unaware it was possible to open the rear part of the cargo door with the forward cargo door blocked by the extended flap. The pilot's attempts to retract the flaps to open the door were also unsuccessful. The pilot then instructed the rear seat passengers to climb over the middle row of seats to exit through the left forward cabin door. On release of the new Cessna 206H model, Transport Canada mandated the aircraft be restricted to 5 occupants via the removal of a second row seat. After a fatal Canadian 206 accident in 2018, Transport Canada issued an airworthiness directive that required older models of the Cessna 206 to align with the same occupancy limits required for the Cessna 206H, providing occupants in the rear seats with easier access to the forward left cabin door. In 2023, Transport Canada approved a supplemental type certificate to provide an additional handle that is installed internally near the forward cargo door. When activated, the handle jettisons the front cargo door from the aircraft. The removal of the door provides enhanced egress to the middle row occupants when flaps remained extended. The release of the door from the aircraft also improves visibility of the rear cargo door handle and simplified opening the rear cargo door for occupants in the rear seats. In 2021, CASA recommended operators consider incorporating the changes Transport Canada have enforced. The ATSB's safety advisory notices also encourage operators and pilots to ensure they are familiar with Transport Canada's Airworthiness Directive, CF 2020-10, and the subsequent CASA-issued Airworthiness Bulletin 52006. The ATSB encourages all owners and operators of the Cessna 206 to read the safety advisory notices by searching AO-2024-049 on our website, from the link in the description below, or from the link in our bio.
There you have it. As I said before, brilliant, the design of these doors.
So,
yeah.
It's actually designed to be able to open that back door. If you look at both the wing roots on a 206, on the left side, the flap goes all the way to the fuselage. Mm-hmm. On the right side, there's about a 5 or 6 inch standoff, and you can actually see it in the picture at the beginning of that video.
Yeah.
It's just the flap stops yay far from the fuselage, whereas the other one, it's almost flush.
Okay.
And it's designed that way specifically to be able to open that front door enough to actuate the lever for the rear door and still be able to get out. Sounds like the guy was not trained properly on the aircraft he was flying. So that's a definite shortcoming. But the airplane was designed specifically for egress with the flaps down. They saw that as a concern.
I guess maybe they're thinking, well, it's just almost too complicated to have to kind of crack open that back
not
door
intuitive.
first, and then and if you're in a crash and you're not expecting to do something like egress out of the airplane, now you're going, oh, how did we do this? And then you can kind of panic. I mean, they say that some people have trouble remembering how to unbuckle a seatbelt. I mean, that's why in the safety demonstration you're going like, really, like people really don't know how to undo their seatbelt, but they say that when you're in this situation and you're in shock, you go like, oh, I've forgotten how to undo my safety belt, So I guess a complicated door like that is.
They actually did make a handful of 206 P206s, which is not pressurized. It is the passenger version. So instead of only having one door in the front, it had two doors in the front.
Oh, interesting.
But they sold like 4 of them because nobody wanted them.
Okay. Well, very good. I'm glad that we had you here to kind of help us analyze and explain this this particular aircraft model and the unusual door configuration on the back.
I must admit, when I first saw it, I thought, who the hell designs a double opening door that you need to get the front bit open before you can open the back bit? And then the front bit gets jammed by the flaps. I'm going, what? And then you have to have a Heath Robinson system of jettisoning the door, which looks complicated.
It didn't look too bad. It's just it's a lever that pulls the door pins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit much to have to drill a hole through the airplane, but
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that the system with the guarded, red lever and it actually, as you said, pulling the door pins and the door actually falling, that seems almost more complicated to me than the original design of just crack open the back door first and then open the, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Let's continue skipping to item G, and this way we can do a little bit more feedback coverage on today's show. This is, and Radio Roger did tease this in the intro, Spirit Airlines files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy again. The embattled ultra low-cost this is from, I believe, paddle your own canoe. The embattled ultra-low-cost carrier Spirit Airlines has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection for the second time in less than a year, but the airline's trying to reassure worried passengers that their travel plans remain intact and that flights aren't about to be grounded. The news that Spirit was once again voluntarily petitioning for Chapter 11 in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of New York comes less than a year after the airline announced its first Chapter 11 Okay, we just basically covered that in the previous paragraph. The first Chapter 11 process was a prepackaged deal in which Spirit secured extra funding from investors to address its mounting debts. The Chapter 11 process, however, will be will be a lot more involved and will allow Spirit to completely restructure its business. So basically, the article talks about what this means for customers. Will they be able to fly where they want to fly? For their vacations, holidays, whatever. Or if they do actually get to where they're wanting to go, will they be able to get back? Also talks about the fact, the differences between the first filing and the second filing and, why they're doing this again. And basically it's just to, they have creditors out there wanting their money, which is, understandable. But that protects them from having to use their cash flow to pay those debts until they can figure out exactly how to get everything back in order so that they can actually start making money again and pay these bills. You'll also remember, I think, and they talk about it in this article, the fact that JetBlue was trying to merge with or buy, actually, Spirit and make that part of, like make it a combined airline. But the Department of Justice, I think several years ago, basically said, no, we're not going to allow that, because that's going to mean that the prices for a lot of these flight segments that you're competing are going to get up to a really high level. And we want to try to keep the prices in this particular, or these markets, as low as possible. So they did not allow JetBlue to buy or merge with Spirit. So
if Spirit goes bust, then those prices are gonna rise anyway. So
yep,
I really don't see
exactly. Well, so that this whole thing that they were thinking may have just spectacularly backfired.
Yeah.
And there has also been talk about the fact that there's another low-cost carrier out there, Frontier, in a lot of ways very similar airlines. They fly the same equipment, the Airbus 320 series or family of airplanes. That's a possibility, maybe. I mean, I think talks are starting back up again that Frontier may take a look at perhaps merging with Spirit. But,
Jeff, I just sent you a text because Spirit today, and I just found this before the show, announced they're terminating service to 11 cities. And I
boy.
Guess
okay.
Is a big deal.
So for those of you watching the video, for those listening to the audio, they will have heard what Liz said. So she just sent me a text regarding some of the...
You gotta tap on the photo. October 2nd, they're terminating service to these 11 cities.
Okay. So on October 2nd, 2025, so just under a month, the following cities are, they're terminating service to these following cities: Albuquerque, Birmingham in Alabama, Boise, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Columbia Metropolitan in South Carolina, Oakland, San Francisco Bay Airport, Portland International in Oregon, Sacramento International, California, Salt Lake City, Utah, San Diego, and San Jose Maneta International Airport in San Jose, California. So that's a lot. And as I said before, I know that we have folks that are working for this airline, and I'm sure that they're very concerned about all this happening, and I'm sure they can't be happy about it. And our thoughts and prayers go to the people working at the company, and hopefully the people that are running it and its investors will do whatever is necessary to keep this thing above water, afloat. Yeah. So good luck. So, all right, it is now time for us to play this, because it's right about the 1 hour mark of the show. It's Getting to Know Us, the time of the show where we find out what has been going on with the hosts that are on this particular episode, and what they've been up to since the last time they were with us. We'll start with AJ. Yeah, you weren't able to join us last week because of our recording time. It was earlier in the day, and you were working, that old job thing.
Yeah.
How? Speaking of that, how's that going?
It's going pretty good. We're almost through the first class, whole class. So they'll be leaving on the 17th, graduating or moving on. So it's been interesting. This was kind of the guinea pig. This is like I said, I think I mentioned before, this is a brand new program, and working through a lot of bugs and just testing out the system and all kinds of things. So it's been pretty interesting, but we've made a lot of progress. Going pretty well.
Good. Are you yet used to getting up early in the morning and driving in the Atlanta traffic to your...
Weirdly, I've actually responded surprisingly well to that. Normally, my whole life, I've never been a morning person. I've never liked getting up in the morning. I'm stay up at late and get up at, mid-morning, and I'm happy. But I'll stay up till 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning working on the computer or doing whatever. That's just like my kind of productivity time for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But this, it's been interesting. I've been, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's been fine. It's been great.
Good.
Driving to work is not too bad, obviously, because it's nice and early, but
yeah.
by the by the time 8 o'clock rolls around, Atlanta turns into gridlock everywhere. So it's like that from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, at least.
I found that
driving home is less fun.
Yeah, I going to flying these early morning trips, I found that if I can leave this area up here in Roswell, by, sometime between 6 and 6:30 in the morning, that avoids pretty much most of the bad, gnarly kind of traffic. After 6:30 up here, it starts to get, a little bit busier.
Same thing from over here.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay. Well, very good. Anything else happening in your life?
Other than that, got to test out this whole goat landscaping.
Oh, that's
thing.
right. Yeah,
that was pretty fun. So we had an area on kind of around the side and the back of our house that has we've just kind of never done anything with, and it's kind of overgrown and a lot needed to be. We're gonna redo it and do some landscaping kind of thing. And it was just, like I said, just really overgrown, and it's kind of on a hill against the house that goes down another hill, and it's just not a great place to try to get anything in there, and bush hog or something like that to try to clear this stuff out. So turns out a friend of mine has goats, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll bring the goats over and they'll clear it out in a day. And I was like, that's a lot of stuff. Like it would take me more than a day to do this with a professional bush hog like big machine, right? He brought these goats out, 6 or 7 of them. Yeah. 6 or 7. 6 or 7 goats, and 4 of the 7 were little babies, tiny baby goats. I mean, we're talking, 10, 12 weeks old, not like full grown goats. So, I didn't expect a lot when he showed up, and the goats got out there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he texted me. I'd gone back in the house or something and was inside, and he texted me at like 12:45, and he said, "Hey, all right, we're done." I'm like, what are you talking about? And I came out there, and it's just barren, like down to the juniper roots. I was like,
"Them goats be hungry."
Hungry little buggers.
I was going to say, does he starve these goats for the week before or something?
Apparently, I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah, I was pretty impressed with the efficiency of the goats. So that was fun, and the kids got to come out. The girls got to come out and see the goats and pet them. They're really sweet. They're nice, kind of farm goats. So it was kind of cool.
That's neat.
Yeah. Other than that, doing something fun this weekend. Hopefully, going to Asheville, North Carolina for my 10th wedding anniversary.
Oh,
so
nice.
we're gonna go fly up there in the 182 RG and do a little touristy thing, some horseback riding, and some Biltmore Estate touring.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So get a couple of dinners planned and all that. So, but amazingly, my wife has decided to actually go in an airplane with me. So that's
nice.
A great success.
Like one that you're actually flying.
One that me being the only other occupant of the airplane. Yeah, I know. So that's a step. So
she's braver than I.
Well, it's been a little over 2 years since the last time, so I don't know. But yeah, so it'll be fun, and got a little sneaky scheme surprise that I'm working back at home while we're gone. So we'll see how that comes together. I don't want to give anything away, but we'll see how that comes together. And
cool.
Let's see. Other than that, I think that's all the highlights that I can think of.
All right, awesome. Yeah, when you shared in our little private chat group, the pictures of the goats, I'm thinking, why are there goats over at AJ's house? That's weird. Anyway, so let's see.
Captain Nick's back now.
Captain Nick, are you ready to go, or you want me to talk about?
I'm ready
what
to
I've been
rock
up
and
to?
roll. So.
All right, go for it, sir.
Well, there has much been going on. My penultimate competition of the bowling season was on last weekend, and it was the Petersfield Cup, which is a knockout competition throughout all the clubs in our area, and we got through to the final. And it's a team of 4, a team of 3, a team of 2 against the opposing club's equivalent. and you just add all your shots together, and whoever's got the most at the end wins. So it was quite good fun, and even though there'd been a torrential downpour that morning, the green we went to, it was a neutral green at Petersfield, the club that runs the competition, and it was pretty good. It was interesting. We had a dodgy start, but we crept ahead on our rink, and I was lucky that I was playing reasonably well, so managed to pull a few irons out of the fire when I needed to, and we won by about 5 shots on our rink. The pairs tied, and the fours team won by over 10 shots, so that was fine. We took the competition, and that was good. And then I had to cut short the celebrations because I had to dive home. We were in the pub quiz down at my local pub, and we had a really good team, and we won that. So I came home with a bottle of wine. That was kind of cool.
Wow,
just on a roll.
Day, yeah.
Indeed, I did have a good day. It
Did you
was
buy a lottery ticket?
No, I don't do a lot of gambling, but I find I can't afford to with all my other things. So that was good fun. And the final competition in our club that I'm going to play in is happening in about 10 days. So I'll tell you more about that when it happens. But other than that, we have definitely moved away from summer. The temperatures have dropped about 10 degrees. We have frequent fronts moving through, so we're getting a lot of rainfall, which the garden is enjoying, but it does make the place a bit soggy. And just after I've had the air conditioning fitted too. Damn.
Oh well.
That's typical, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you want to do the cover art now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cover art. Oops. I just pressed the wrong button there, the one that you should never press. So we had some good suggestions around to it. Throw It in Reverse, Skid Row, Shanghai, Shanglo, I'm Waiting for Your Angry Letters, and 747-800, and Potable Water. So there was a lot of things, and I managed to get quite a few into
You
it.
did.
So
You did.
there's you doing your telephone call, Jeff, in a good old Boeing dial-up telephone. So the title of the show, 1-800 Dial-A-Flap. I'm pretty sure that I Haul Boxes came up with that. That was,
I think it did. Yeah, you're right.
I think he did. So that was great. The little features I managed to get in there. Well, first of all, we've got an engineer who is, dial-a-flap is all about setting intermediate flap settings. So I imagine that you need an engineer out there with a hammer belting your flaps into their intermediate positions once you've dialed it. Exactly, very old school.
That engineer looks kind of familiar.
He is. I wondered if you'd notice.
Oh.
Yes, we've got an engineer called Nick there bashing away at the
didn't even notice
flaps
that.
with his
I did
huge,
not.
great big. He's the bloke with the toolbox full of hammers, isn't he?
Well, I mean, he is an
He's got
AMP.
his big hammer out to adjust these flaps. And a little thing there. We got a parking position for a 747-800.
800, yeah. That's my favorite
Yeah,
747. The Dash 800.
It is. It's a great 747, that Dash 800. So that was that little Easter egg. And on the next one, we've got the side of the hangar. So I managed to put the airport name there, Shanglo.
Shanglo.
I love Shanglo.
Yeah, and that is actually the logo for Shanghai. So we've got Shanghai, Shanglo,
Shanglo
in there.
Shanghai, Shanglo.
And
okay.
then we've got Angry written on the top of the hangar there.
Yeah, that was a
nice,
tough one.
Yeah, that was good, but tough. Yeah.
Well, those
They're
letters
all
look
the,
really, really angry.
Well done, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all the angry letters that you might be getting if you. So we've got angry, and what else we got? We got a nice close up of the pilot doing the dialing. You look a bit old-fashioned there, Jeff.
I do.
think that looks good,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
a little grizzled.
In your lapel, hiding behind your lapel, you've got our Jackass. So I think we ought to try and do an Acme Jackass pin, a badge.
Lapel pin, yeah.
Little
okay.
lapel pin that people could buy. That would be kind of fun if we
the
did
boys over at Opposing Bases would
one of
appreciate
those. Yeah, indeed. And if we look down you a bit more at your buttons, we will see your telephone. And like those old dial-up telephones, you've got an extension number at the bottom of your telephone there.
Extension
Which is the show number.
675. Oh, nice.
675.
It's a good-looking phone. Yeah.
It is. And just for fun, out on the right-hand side, we've got 3 little Easter eggs there. At the top, you've got Skid Row, which was mentioned as a possible show title.
Yeah, that's Tim Van
And
Ram's
we've got-
Hangar Row, I think. Skid Row.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've got your pet peeve, potable water.
Yeah.
And then we've also got a manhole cover, which is actually around to it, if you look at it.
Oh,
it says
Getting around to it.
Yeah, and if you look carefully on it, it's also blended in with the logo. So
Oh,
there you
wow.
go.
Wow. You had fun
was
with this one,
great
I could
one.
tell. That was nice.
I did.
Love it.
It was there was lots of nice detail I could get in on that one. That was good fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, AJ, you missed it. I don't know if you listened to the show or not, but I kind of got on
Just
my
a little bit of
soapbox with a couple different things. Yeah. I enjoyed it when I was editing and listening to myself just go on a tirade.
Well, one of our listeners got on a little bit of a tirade, too, about 747.
One of our former listeners. I don't think he's listening anymore.
I did read that email, actually. Since I'm the only one that gets the feedback email.
Well, now we all do now, I think.
Good fix.
I fixed that. Yeah. All
That's
right. Very
great,
good.
Nick. Captain Jeff.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, let's see. I may have mentioned, I may not have. I've been going every couple of weeks to a local jazz club in Alpharetta, Georgia, called the Velvet Note, and I received some email correspondence indicating that they had a big cover band for Earth, Wind, and Fire. A group very popular in the they're still popular, but in the 70s mainly. And I thought, ooh, I love that music because there's a lot of good brass, a lot of saxophones and trumpets, and I just love that kind of music. So I went to that on Saturday night, and then I did my normal singing both Saturday afternoon and on Sunday. Did 3 masses on Sunday for a change. And
in any Earth, Wind, and Fire at church?
I didn't do any of the Earth, Wind, and Fire selections at church. I'm thinking that they probably would tell me not to return if I did that.
I see. Okay.
Anyway, then this week, it's been pretty uneventful for me, and
that's always good.
It's good to be uneventful, for sure.
It's good. Yeah. All right, let's do some coffee fun.
Coffee fun, yes, ma'am. Here we go.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
All right.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
Oh, yeah. It's the Coffee Fund. It's your way to support the show financially if you'd like. As we always say, we do this out of a labor of love. We enjoy doing it, being with friends each and every week and talking aviation mostly. But if you'd like to return some value for any value you may receive, we have this thing called the Coffee Bar Club or the Coffee Fund, and a couple different ways that you can participate if you'd like. One is the old-fashioned, the Coffee Fund Classic Method. And again, Dr. Mazuz Karim comes in for us with a nice donation. Thank you very much, sir. And then we are also on Patreon. You can become a patron of the show. And we have a new producer, Eric Dawson, a new producer. Join the other patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to join this wonderful group of people. I was going to say August group of people, but now we're in September, so never mind. Head over to the website, airlinepilotguide.com. ATSB.com/coffee, and you can learn all about it. I think if you do, you'll be glad you did, and we will too.
Captain, incoming message.
All right, time for the feedback segment. We're going to start with this, and I have a little note here from the producer. Hold for when AJ is on the show. Yay, AJ is on the show, so let's go ahead and do it. This is from Erol, and he says, hey, APG crew, quick note after finishing APG 672 to send AJ. Congratulations on the new job. Sounds super exciting. Here we go. I'm going to put some applause in there, too. Some questions. What were the requirements for the job? Obviously must not be too many requirements because you got it. No, he didn't say that.
That's a valid statement. Yeah.
And then he said, a mirror. Was prior controller experience a must-have or nice to have? What about pilot ratings or other requirements? For example, IT, information technology, background or experience, any of that?
So not prior controller experience. There are several RPOs, remote pilot operators, that the same job that I have that are going into controller. They're waiting on their class dates or things like that. So it's kind of a transition job for them. And there are other people like me that come from the pilot background, and they try to have a mix of both of those. So not really a must-have. Nice to have might be a valid statement, but not required by any means. And then pilot ratings, again, not required, but definitely nice to have. I've been fielding. I think I'm one of only a couple pilots on the RPO side, or in our office, honestly. And so I get a lot of questions about. So from a pilot, what does this look like? And so I get that fairly, I'd say nearly daily.
Very nice.
So. Yeah, but thank you very much, Erol, for the kind wishes. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you for that. And guess what? He also sent this piece of feedback. Let's see.
But wait, there's more.
There is more. Hey, APG crew, enjoying episode 673. Really interesting hearing about the UPS 747-8 nacelle strike and the Aer Lingus A321 tail strike. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
800.
I just said 100.
Oh, 800, yes. Captain Nick's Shanghai story was very interesting, too. It got me wondering, what usually happens after incidents like these? Do the pilots have to fill out a bunch of paperwork? Are they required to do extra training or go through any kind of review? And what about the airline? Do they have to report it to the FAA or local authority? Does something like this stay on the pilot's record permanently? Thanks for all the awesome content. Always fun and super informative. Looking forward to the next meetup, wherever and whenever it may be.
He's out buying Funyuns.
Erol. Yeah, I was going to say, we're getting low on our supply of Funyuns. Erol's the one that brought the big giant box of Funyun snacks at the meetup we had in Charlotte.
Yeah, that was so funny when he did that. That was absolutely brilliant.
That was brilliant. So, what do you think? How do we can answer, I think, most of these questions that he had for us regarding, like, what happens after these incidents? Do the pilots have to fill out a bunch of paperwork?
Yeah.
I would say so.
Well, actually, a bunch of paperwork. Normally, you have to fill out in the UK an air safety report, and that can be, if it's a serious incident, it'll be categorized as a mandatory occurrence report, an MOR. Which is an ASR can stay inside the company. An MOR has to go to your operating authority, the Civil Aviation Authority in our case. So they get involved. And, of course, they can do an inquiry if they decide that the incident is important enough, or whether they define it as an accident, they can do an inquiry. What happens to you? The airline, of course, has a responsibility to make sure that everyone's well trained, and that's the usual first step. They'll usually put you in the simulator and retrain you in the area which they think you're lacking. So that's what will happen. Now, they can put something on your record, the company. I had a letter on my file that was there for a year. And then they, in theory, took it out and tore it up. So that was that. And before you ask what it is, I will tell you I lost communications over China. And it would normally have, not been noted by anybody because I was just on the wrong frequency or just hadn't changed frequencies because the controller hadn't handed me off to the next sector, the Chinese controller. But at the time, we were negotiating for a new route, and our boss, Richard Branson, was in Shanghai trying to do that, and the company that we were going to be competing with, one of the companies, would have been Cathay Pacific, who and one of their pilots actually reported it back to their airline because they could hear on the radio that there had been a slight, where the hell have you been? Oh, I'm sorry about that. I was on the wrong frequency. And the next day in all the newspapers in Hong Kong, the headlines read, Virgin aircraft lost over China.
Wow.
Read all about it.
Exactly right. And that's how my company found out about it because I thought it was a fairly insignificant occurrence. I hadn't said anything.
Yeah.
And I got a call when on my next trip, and I was in bed in Japan, and the phone went, and I said, what the hell's been going on?
What are you doing out there, man?
Exactly. So I filled out, and generally this was all I had to do was to fill out an air safety report. And I got an interview and a letter on my file, and that was it. A conduct unbecoming letter.
Does that? So how long does something like that stay in your record? Is it like a year or 5 years?
Well, they said this will be on your file for a year. If it would be more serious, I suppose they'll say we're going to put a letter on your file and leave it on there while you're working for us. But in my case, after a year, they tore it up.
What letter was it? Was it a big F for frequency?
Bam! You should have warned me. I had this ready.
It was an angry letter.
It was an angry letter. Yes.
Yes, it was. It
So
was
big angry letter F
we're
with
very
big fangs.
disappointed in you, Captain Anderson.
So, Nick, if the incident happened, for example, in the States, do you file an MOR and your authority contacts the FAA, or how does that work?
I don't think the FAA, if it happened in another country, I don't think we would get in touch with their aviation authority.
What happens in America stays in America.
I would get in touch
only
with
in Vegas.
Big Vegas.
Our aviation authority, and if they felt the need,
Okay.
they would get in touch with the FAA and say, can you give us some more information about this? Or we think our pilot fell foul of a mean and nasty controller in the New York region. So I think you need to have a word with them or something like that,
Got it. Thank you.
Not that you've ever had that kind of experience.
Not yet. And I'm never going to now.
No.
I could just poke at them, dig at them from inside this podcast.
Yeah.
So, Captain Jeff, did you ever have anything serious happen?
No, never had anything happen to me at all, ever.
Not anything with the statute of limitations.
So just that Washington thing that you've.
That's just that's my statement, and I'm going to stick with it.
Okay. All right. Moving on then.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. So actually, I recorded a podcast episode on the alleged violation of a certain restricted area up near our nation's capital. I think it was, I used my Catholic Pilot podcast mechanism, or whatever the word is that I'm really trying to find that I can't.
Medium.
Yeah, medium or whatever. Yeah. So
shell company.
My shell company. Okay, I'm going to dedicate an entire episode to what happened in this incident, but I'm going to put it on Catholic Pilot because nobody ever listens to it. So, but yeah, I had an experience. If I remember or if I can find it or a way to link to that episode, I'll do that. I'll put that in the show notes, and I'll tell you all about what that was all about. I was exonerated, by the way. They came to they have a couple of different terms they use for what happens after they've done an investigation, and the term they used was no action. So I received a no action letter. So there was action, no action. Yeah. And I believe they said that the letter would stay in my file for, I think, exactly a year. And then I'm not sure exactly how you figure out I guess you could go in and say, can I look at my file? Like, is there anything bad in there?
Don't you get to shred it yourself or anything?
No, I don't get to. I've never even seen my file. As far as I know, maybe there wasn't really a file anywhere. Maybe they just they just say that. Maybe, I don't know.
When I worked for a previous German company, I asked to see my file, and I was told that I was not allowed to see my file.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that meant, but
freedom of information hadn't got to them yet.
Not to Germany anyway.
Yeah. Well, then I would imagine the rules are probably different when it comes to, a privately held company and a government agency. So different kind of thing. Anyway, yep. Sometimes I'm sorry, Nick. We were kind of having some discussion going on in the background here when you were talking about some of these questions that Erol had for us. Did you mention like having to go through extra training or that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mentioned that the first thing the company will do is put you in the sim. Yeah. And they will give you training in the area which you're seen to be lacking, and then they will usually give you some form of check ride or test to see whether you've absorb that training and are now fit to go back into the aircraft.
So you get the opportunity to come in on your day off go and have fun in the simulator, because that's what we do. When we go in the simulator, it's nothing but fun. We like flying between buildings and underneath bridges and stuff like that. No, I'm just
loops and rolls.
Yeah, loops and rolls and all that kind of thing. No, it's not fun at all. At least when I did have to come in for something once, they paid me for being in the simulator for whatever time I was there. So all that kind of thing happened. But it's what do they call it? Just safety culture, right? For encouraging us to volunteer things, and so we can learn and other people can learn as well. And I've always said, and I think you guys would agree with me, that I would rather learn from somebody else's mistakes than my own.
When you say just safety, do you mean it's only just safe?
It's just safe
barely.
enough.
Just barely.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. But hey, everybody can be happy now. The skies are safe. Captain Nick and Captain Jeff are no longer.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. AJ's on this weekend.
I'm taking up the mantle. And I'm headed in the direction of DC.
Oh, no. Okay. Watch out. All right.
Number 5.
Number 5. Okay. Oh, our friend Ant Pruitt says, hello, APG beloved family. Oh. Miss Liz, Dr. Steph, Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, Mr. AJ, hope you're all doing well. I'm unbelievable as always.
I made it to the headline of an email.
Yeah, you did. And I'm not sure I believe you, Ant, because he says it himself. He's unbelievable. First off, thanks for all of the extra Oshkosh content you created in Patreon. You're welcome. I've never been, and I don't know when I'll ever go, but I always enjoy hearing your enthusiasm and content around what's happening there. Thank you, Ant. Secondly, in episode 672, you discussed the University of Maryland R&Ding some sort of haptic feedback suit for aircraft pilots. I immediately thought, what the heck? Why?
So did we.
But then you all sounded like you felt the way I felt about it. I mean, if a pilot is heavily trained to trust the dadgum instruments, then allow them to trust the dadgum instruments. I know the article mentioned Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash could have possibly benefited from technology like they're developing, but speaking as a non-pilot, yet logical thinker, if we're supposed to have an instrument panel as the tool to keep everyone safe, then utilize it. As usual, I'm sure I'm oversimplifying the story. No, you're not. My apologies if that's the case. No, we feel the same way, and I'm glad that it came across that way. In my creative workflow, this is Ant again, in my creative workflow, there are times when I work on how the art is making me feel. Actually, a lot of times. But when it comes to making sure things are editorially proper for something like white balance or saturation, I have to trust my instruments, even though my feeling says otherwise. Apples to oranges, I know. Anyway, well, not really. No, I think that's a good analogy, Ant. He continues, why this haptic feedback suit, why? No. With this haptic feedback suit being developed, it says it's developed at the Public University of Maryland. Didn't sound like some private equity or VCs were involved. With that said, I still can't seem to make this development make sense for actual implementation. I know time brings change and change comes with time, but why in the heck would we teach pilots to trust their feelings when it used to be about trusting the instruments? This isn't Star Wars, right? Maybe this haptic feedback tool can work to reflect what the existing instrument panel is displaying. Enhance the instruments and not replace the instruments. Yeah, again, I think we all are on that same page. And anyway, this email is way too long. Thanks for all you do to the community. Sorry, people. Thanks for all you do for the community. Thanks for allowing folks like me to just get away for 2 hours. Here's to your continued success and growth. Sorry for my typos and screwed up grammar. I didn't see any, actually. That's grammar, not grandma. Hey, grammar, fix me something for dinner. Anyway, do something good for yourself. Do something good for someone else. Know that it's okay to love you some you. And then he gives us some big hugs. We always enjoy getting a big hug from you, Ant. Yeah. That's good.
Do we need to read Nick's response? It gets a little graphic.
Probably not.
Well, I'll
just put it in there to keep it.
Yeah, I'll let Nick read it if he'd like. It is kind of embarrassing.
That's fine, thanks. That's private. Private comment between me and Ant.
Okay, we'll
Ant
leave you
is a
guys
male
on
model.
your own.
Did you know that?
Get a room. All right. Can we move on to the boom boom?
You're going to do 6, and then you're going to do 14.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay, good. This will be fun. Let me get the video set up. We have actually 3 separate videos that we can play, and they're essentially the same thing, little different angles and such. But listen carefully to the audio, okay? So are we ready to go?
Yeah.
I guess I should. That's a good idea, Liz. So in Chicago
who
every
did we get
year.
This from,
First of all, good idea. We received this from Lindsey up in Chicago, Lindsey McNeil. And they have an air show every year called the Chicago Air and Water Show.
Well, she kind of had a clever title to her submission.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me start over. So we received this from Lindsey McNeil, and the title of her feedback: did the Chicago Air and Water Show go boom? What does she mean?
Good evening, APG crew. This is Lindsey McNeil in Chicago. I wanted to send some feedback and get your thoughts on some observations from this past Friday. So this last weekend in Chicago was the annual Air and Water Show. And this year we had the Thunderbirds. They performed their practices 2 days before the actual official demonstrations on Saturday and Sunday. And since I live within the city limits, I get the pleasure of being able to pretty much see 4 shows every day, sometimes during working hours. But of course, I love listening and watching the airplanes, so it's pretty exciting. But something interesting happened this last Friday during the Thunderbirds practice, and there's been a lot of discussion locally between my friends as well as online about what seemed to have been a possible sonic boom. The interesting part is that the U.S. Air Force officially came out and said that no sonic boom actually occurred, but didn't have any other explanation for what millions of people had experienced that day. So there's multiple video recordings, and I added those links into my email. And a lot of firsthand accounts, myself included, of hearing a very loud clap or a boom, something that, we've been through many of these air and water shows and never experienced this before in the past, between the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels coming in and visiting town. In fact, a few reports had mentioned that windows were shattered in certain buildings around the lakefront, which is unusual and seems to suggest like something of a greater intensity than what's typical must have happened. I know, working in my office, it felt like all of the air was being sucked out of my building and being pushed out, and all of our windows definitely shook, as well as hearing a pretty loud boom. So just given everyone's background, I just sort of want to understand, if it wasn't technically a sonic boom, then what else could have explained such a loud clap during the practice? Is there any, possibility of any other type of phenomena that would, create such an effect, like, especially within an urban area like Chicago? I know the Air Force is really careful about messaging, but this has sparked a lot of curiosity within Chicago and within my own personal experience. So love to hear everyone's thoughts. Thanks again. Love the show.
Uh-oh. Must be a thunderstorm nearby. Sounded like some thunder and lightning there, huh? So that was the first angle, the first video. And in the video, which we'll have linked in our show notes, or all these videos, you can see that the person with probably the cell phone camera videoing this is focusing on the Thunderbird diamond, four-ship diamond formation that's out over the water. But there's something else going on that may have actually been the culprit of this potential alleged sonic boom. So I'll try to point that out when we play the video that has that one particular jet that's separate from this diamond formation. I'm not sure if it's this one or the next one. So here, I'm going to push the button and see what happens. Okay. Guess it's a double feature in this one. Okay, so that's that one. Again, they're focused on the diamond four-ship formation out of the water. This last one, I think, is going to be the clincher. So let me play that one, and here we go. Did you notice? I'll play that again. That they turn the camera upwards and see a single ship, a solo aircraft flying overhead. Here we go. He's up. I know it's hard to see, but there's a single ship that is going overhead. I think that maybe
traveling at a noticeably higher rate of speed.
Yes, it seems like they were traveling yeah,
I think that's one of the Blue Angels sneaking through their display, dropping a boom.
Wow, that would be pretty devious, wouldn't it?
That would, wouldn't it? That'd be very cool.
Yeah. So what's happening here? The four-ship Diamond. They're doing their thing, and they're probably trying to draw everybody's attention. Meanwhile, there's usually a couple of single or solo ships or solo jets, kind of trying to orient themselves for some other kind of a display or formation or whatever. And so I think that in their what's the word, hurry,
exuberance
in their and they're trying to expedite their getting to where they need to be for the next maneuver. That jet may have pushed the limit of the airspeed and may have.
Remember that thing we were talking about limits and just a teeny bit over,
just a hair, just a tad
Doesn't
over.
take much.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't take much, right? So I'm thinking, I don't know. Again, I've never been part of an aerial demonstration team, so I don't really, know for sure. What do you think, Captain Nick, since you've flown high performance jets?
Oh, well, if you're trying to beetle around pretty fast, then yeah, you could so easily just creep over a Mach 1 and drop a boom. But it's not going to be a hugely significant boom because, that speed, they're barely forming. They're still at 90 degrees. And that's, I might point out, why you only hear one noise, because everyone thinks it's a double boom. And it kind of is, but to hear the double boom, you need the aircraft and the bow wave to both be forming shock waves. So you get one shock wave that is at the aircraft formed by the air traveling over the fuselage and the wings and canopy and all that kind of stuff. And that shock wave will give you one boom. But ahead of the aircraft, there is a second shock wave that is forming, and it's much more apparent when you're going at a quite a significant Mach number. And the Mach wave is starting to go from right angles and starting to stream back the faster you go, and that bow wave creates one boom. And then the aircraft creates a second group boom, which is how you hear the classic double boom. But that isn't going to occur for an aircraft that's just crept over the sound barrier. And all that's happened is it's not usually a significant thing, unless you've just gone a long way over. Having said that, I have a small story which I might have mentioned, so some of you listeners might have heard it before. And it didn't concern me, it concerned a buddy of mine who was chasing an F-111 across Scotland, in fact, heading towards Hawick, down a valley. And this F-111, of course, they can go very fast. And out over the water, you wouldn't catch them because they're allowed to go supersonic. But they're not supposed to go supersonic over the land. But he was doing about 0.95. So he's doing about over 600 knots down this valley and heading towards Hawick. And this Phantom, my mate, is chasing him down, and his navigator in the back suddenly realizes that they're about to overfly Hawick. So he goes, for heaven's sake, pull off. We're about to go over Hawick. And so he hoofs up in this Phantom. Now, as you pull G, you accelerate all the air that's going over the wings. And they were doing 0.99. And so they created this massive shockwave now that came off the aircraft and bounced down the valley and just happened to coincide with this F-111 who blundered over Hawick, and followed by the shockwave that the Phantom behind them had created and had now disappeared into the clouds. And all the shop windows broke, and everyone was upset, and all the cats went meow, and all the chickens died, and all the sheep aborted, and the United States Air Force took all the heat for the dropped boom.
That's where that Blue Angel guy got the idea.
Exactly.
I'll just fly over this Thunderbird display and make it look like it's them.
They'll never know.
They'll never
No
know.
clouds, though. There wasn't enough clouds.
There were no clouds, yeah. Well, I did notice, or I looked this up a little bit, and the official response from the United States Air Force, they denied that the Thunderbirds went supersonic.
What boom?
Okay.
Yeah. They stated that after a review of flight data confirmed the jets did not exceed the speed of sound. However, an aeronautics professor suggested that parts of the aircraft may have created shock waves leading to the perceived sonic booms. Perceived?
Perceived by your
Well,
ears?
they were perceived.
Yes, well, not only that, there's a damage report here. The sonic booms resulted in damage primarily to the lobbies of 4 residential buildings, and they have listed, they're all on, well, 3 of them are on North Lakeshore Drive and 1 on Marine Drive, and they all have the damage description
slums
is
anyway, so.
windows shattered in the lobby. Yeah, I think there's a kind of probably high-end apartment
Nah, that's
buildings.
the slums. You didn't.
Oh, is that the slums? Okay, I'm surprised he even mentioned it then. Yeah, so I think that they're probably.
Would the Air Force pay for that? Those windows?
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine they'd probably
Even
do
though
that.
they
and then-
denied it.
Yeah, they'll probably say, "Okay, remember, we didn't do this, but here's some money."
We didn't
to
do
pay
this,
for
but
the thing."
here's a big check.
Here you go,
Yes,
and
indeed.
don't say anything about it, please.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking
of now,
Angels-
actually, Captain Nick, kind of
Right.
alluded to the cats. What did the cats do when they heard the sonic boom?
Oh, they all screamed.
Okay. Well, this item sent in to us from Kevin Dryden up there in Comox, BC. He sent an article out of king5.com, one of the local news affiliates up in Seattle, Washington. A Seattle woman claims the Blue Angels, the Navy's aerial demonstration team, terrorized her dying cat. The lawsuit claims that Layla, the cat, went into primal panic, with labored breathing escalating to clinically dangerous levels during the Blue Angels air show. Now, they mention here that this Seattle woman has sort of a history of complaining about the Navy's Blue Angels air show every year in the Seattle area. Let's see. She ended up getting banned. I guess the lawsuit really basically is about her being denied her free speech rights, being blocked on
died,
social media. Well, the cat did die, but it turns out the cat was already dying.
I know.
And the cat was ancient. It was 14 years old.
14-year-old cat.
That's not super ancient.
It's getting up there, though.
Getting up
It's
there,
not.
but-
Yeah. Okay. Not ancient, but old.
Yeah. Let's see. The cat was, as you mentioned, 14 when she died August 11th after suffering from congestive heart failure. The cat had returned home after spending several nights at the emergency vet when the Blue Angels took to the skies. So the cat was already very ill.
It kind of sounds like if she sneezed next to the cat, it was going to croak. So
It kind of does sound like that. And it talks about the fact that each year the woman said she would post social media comments and send direct messages to the Blue Angels complaining about the show. One message read, "Stop with your FB." Okay, I got to make the censor sound. Beep, beep. You are terrorizing my cat and all the other animals and wildlife. Beep off.
Yeah, I think I can decode that. Stop
Can you?
with your flying Blue Angels.
Oh,
you are
okay.
terrorizing my cat and all the other animals and wildlife. Fly off.
Fly off. Okay, very good.
That's
I like
exactly
that.
how I read it. Yeah.
That's-
Well done.
So the woman says that the Blue Angels blocked her on Instagram in August of 2023.
Yeah, this is where the
And-
free speech
and
thing comes in.
For clarification, they blocked her from posting on the Blue Angels Instagram account. She's
Yes.
not blocked on Instagram or
No.
anywhere else. She just
No.
can't post on their page, on their feed.
Exactly.
Thank
Her
goodness they didn't do
attorneys
any
argue
sonic
this
boom.
violated the woman's First Amendment rights by imposing a viewpoint-based restriction on her being able to participate in public discourse or petition the government. Now, I think we would all argue here that she still has many avenues to participate in public
One or
discourse or petition the government. But
Like
anyway,
the rest of the internet.
yeah, yeah, exactly, all of it. The Blue Angels did not respond to this local news affiliate's request for comment. So
shocked by that development.
Yeah, shocking. Yeah. Okay. So that was
Well,
that was
thank goodness they
interesting.
didn't make a sonic boom, or she would have been like,
Oh,
going
that
crazy.
would have been a game over if they had done a sonic boom. That's for sure.
But-
Okay.
Game over for the cat or the Blue Angels?
Maybe both. I don't know.
Both, yeah.
I'm dubious that the Blue Angels performing an air show was 130 decibels on the ground at her house. That seems. I mean, maybe it's feasible, but it seems like a lot.
That's pretty darn loud, isn't it? Yeah, it
That's
could be.
pretty loud.
Could be. I don't know.
Well, I think we'll go for number 15 here because we're on an animal trajectory here. So
Okay, let's do.
Hang on a minute. This
yeah.
lady gives a quote here. We can have as a show title.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Nobody gives an F about your stupid little planes.
I beg to differ. I think there are a lot of people that do care about their stupid little planes.
There can be a cat with the jackass in its mouth.
Oh, golly.
Oh boy.
That's good. Yeah.
This is stuff, by the way, if you're listening right now, this is stuff that we usually discuss after the show is over. Like we talk about show
peek
titles.
behind the curtain.
Yeah, we're definitely giving you a little peek behind the curtain for sure. All right. Let's stay with the dog, the animal angle here. This is from Chris Mortensen, and the title of his feedback is Dog Escape, or Escape. Hello, Captain Jeff, APG crew, First Officer Chris here. I'm a retired airline pilot, but my career was relatively short, a second career for me. I was a commercial banker for 34 years in the Washington, D.C. area, but made a transition to flying professionally after banking came to an end due to bank mergers and consolidation. That's very cool. I was not the professionally banking coming to an end, but it's cool that you made a second career. That's what I'm trying to say.
Cool, you finally did something interesting.
Yeah. I was then very lucky to get a position with a Thai regional discount airline based in Bangkok and flew the Dash 8 Q400 and really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful experience and a fun airline to work for. We had a lot of camaraderie, and there were a number of other expat pilots, mostly all captains. Due to company policy, I only flew with Thai captains. These were Thai-registered aircraft, and they didn't want an all-foreign crew to fly their aircraft. My experience was really, really good, and I miss it terribly. That all came to an end, unfortunately, with COVID, and I retired in 2022. What I'm writing about today is an experience I had last week. One of which I've never before, and I doubt many of you have had either. Sorry, I think I messed that up, but you get the drift here. I was booked on a Lufthansa flight from Washington, D.C. to Frankfurt, and was really looking forward to it because that route is served by the 747 dash.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Oh dear!
I can't read
it because it's
quite a pickle you're in now.
I know. I can't.
You can't edit his feedback.
Yeah, that would be
First
censorship.
Amendment, right?
Okay, so
747-800.
Yeah, I'm going to read it as he wrote it. The 747-800, one of my favorite aircraft. I was booked in economy, but spent the money and upgraded to a business class window seat on the upper deck. Boarding process was normal, and everybody was ready for pushback, more or less on time. This was a late afternoon, early evening flight, so there was a lot going on at Dulles. After doors were closed, the captain comes on the intercom and says, we're going to have a slight delay. We're still having a problem with one of the cargo doors, which needs to be repaired.
Is that your best captain's voice?
Oh, well, I can't. Maybe Captain Nick can do a German, or maybe AJ, can you do a German accent?
I don't know. Publicly, that sounds.
How about Captain Nick? I think Captain Nick can do a German accent. Go ahead. Can you read that quote?
We are going to have a slight delay. We are still having problems with one of our cargo doors, which needs to be repaired.
Okay.
That was so much better I could have done.
But he advised us the delay was expected to be brief and we would depart shortly. A few minutes or maybe 10 minutes later, the captain comes back on and says,
excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just get my script. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, but we've got a further delay. It turns out we have 4 dogs on board in the cargo hold, and one of the dogs was able to get out of its kennel, and we're trying to catch it in the cargo hold.
Like the APG
Wow.
players.
This is the APG players. Nice. Okay, and then she says, we all looked at each other and had that puzzled look. What kind of a fake German accent is that?
Where's this guy really from?
Are we on the right flight?
Where's
No,
Captain Stefan?
Actually, Chris says, we all looked at each other and had that puzzled look. What did he just say? After another 10 minutes
you
or
don't
so.
want to say it again, do you?
Oh, no. You have some more here. Are you ready? Are you with me? After another 10 minutes or so, the captain comes back on and says,
well, we still haven't caught the dog. In fact, the dog has now jumped out of the aircraft and is running around the ramp. And they're trying to catch it outside somewhere.
our apologies to all of you from Germany out there. We're having fun.
Stefan is never coming back.
Yeah,
on
he's going to say, "I'm sorry, I can't be on."
I hope if he speaks like that, he certainly can.
He'll come back on one time just to tell Nick off.
Anyway, continuing with the feedback, more time goes by. Another 20 minutes or so later, the captain comes back on and says that they were trying to locate the owner of the. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying your line, Captain Nick. Captain comes back on and says,
we are trying to locate the owner of the animal to try to help with recovering the animal from the ramp.
Is he French German? He lives right in the middle of Switzerland.
Hey, AJ, back off a little bit on the mic. You're over-modulated.
I'm farther away than I was before.
Well, Bill, go on the other side of the room.
I'm going to go away now.
Okay. Okay, so Chris continues. We were unaware of what was going on all around the aircraft and midfield ramp, but later I heard that arriving aircraft were transitioned away from the closest runway 19 left. Okay, so now the dog's running around. They don't know exactly where he is on the airport. They're actually closing one of the runways. Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
I don't know where the animal ran off to, but I did see police vehicles and other kind of airport operations vehicles at the gate. It seemed that they had a difficult time in trying to recover this animal. But after an approximately 2-hour ordeal, they did finally catch the dog and were able to put it back in the kennel, close the cargo door, and we pushed back. I did see the captain go in and out of the cockpit a number of times, I guess to go downstairs and check on the situation himself.
Don't even.
At some time early on, the captain announced that he was trying to depart without the dog, but this was quickly rejected by airport staff. Many of the passengers, of course, were worried, and we were all looking at each other in disbelief what had happened and felt very sorry for the dog. I talked to the crew during the flight, and they had never seen this before in many years of flying. I think the whole deal really created quite a problem for the airline, and I'm sure it was very costly as well. But it wasn't something I'd ever heard of before or considered. I'm curious, have you ever come across anything like that? Would appreciate your comments. He says, I'm a long-time listener. Enjoy the show, and thanks so much for what you do. Over and out. And my response to Chris would be, 9! Never. No.
I never.
Yeah.
I have.
This dog.
Oh, have you?
This dog managed to escape a kennel,
Mm-hmm.
and then the cargo hold,
Mm-hmm.
and then the ramp. Why do we think he didn't escape the airport?
Yeah, good point.
I'm
No
just
kidding.
saying.
It seems like all those other things.
So.
Did he have a green card?
Maybe
no, we were on a remote stand, and we were being bussed back to the terminal with a bunch of the passengers because we were the last bus, So we had some passengers, and we got to the tunnel which leads under the taxiways and links to the main terminal infrastructure, and they closed the tunnel, and we're going, well, what's going on? And apparently one of the vehicles with some dogs in their kennels had been driving through this tunnel, and one of the dog's kennels sprang open and the dog jumped off and it was loose
2 hour
inside the
mark,
tunnel,
Jeff,
and
2
they
hours.
closed the tunnel because they wouldn't let any vehicles go through in case they ran this dog down. And we spent an hour standing, like you do on those stupid buses where they take you around airports. There's no seats. You're all standing after a long bloody flight. You just want to get home and go to bed. We're all standing in this bus for an hour with a whole bunch of whinging passengers as if it's our fault. But
of course, it's your fault.
it sort of has happened to me too.
Wow.
And
it's not quite as entertaining as the story,
is.
though, that Chris was telling, and the German captain.
That's a much more interesting. Oh, actually, the German captain was the most interesting bit.
It was.
Very well played by Captain Nick Anderson.
Right. Getting residuals, right?
Just tell Stefan you got a professional in to do that bit.
Yeah, we don't need any German host anymore. We have Captain
Great
Nick.
feedback from Chris, though.
Thank you, Chris, for...
wouldn't that be Captain Nicholas?
Captain Nicholas.
Yeah.
All right.
Last one, number 18.
Yeah, we're gonna switch or skip over to number 18 and end the show with that. And let's see here. I need to. How do I get to that? Okay.
One after 17.
I know. I'm just trying to find the window that has the
feedback from Les Yaw.
So
What
more or less,
yeah. Les Roll.
Yeah. So Les, and his last name is actually Y-A-W. Yeah, we're not making it up.
Yeah.
That's his last name. His son, by the way, is a pilot for Acme Airlines. At last we know, first officer on the Airbus, the heavy Airbuses, 330 series.
Detroit, I think.
Yeah, out of Detroit. Anyway, and Les, I believe from
He's a trucker.
He's a trucker from Iowa. Yeah. Anyway. So the title of his feedback is While at Oshkosh for the EAA convention. Alpha Juliet missed an opportunity to inspect something with enough horsepower to get him photographed and videoed enough to make him viral. What's this all about? On the east side of Lake Winnebago, almost directly opposite the airport in the Whitman Field, Oshkosh, you would have had a chance to possibly bought your own recreational vehicle studio, RVS. This is built on an unstylized John Deere tractor. Authentic vintage factory direct paint from approximately 1935. A custom-built camper unit that will easily make a certain retired airline captain envious. Be kind when showing this luxury RV off. Now, what are you saying, Liz?
Sorry, I did the wrong slide, but that's fine. Keep going.
Okay, so we're showing the slide now of the. Okay.
Are those someone's underwear hanging from that?
Yeah. So
like the
they're.
Clampetts could have owned this.
That was exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. It was all about the Clampetts.
You don't need no stinking
hillbillies.
You don't need a clothes dryer when you can just hang them out on the line.
Exactly.
And is that a huge beer barrel mounted on the front?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
That checks.
Yes,
Excellent.
Alpha Juliet, you too can cruise the gravel roads, enjoying the flora and fauna at a noisy 13 miles per hour downhill.
That's scooting. that's rat scooting right there.
Be careful, especially with all that stuff hanging off that thing. That is pretty darn fast.
There's some women's lingerie there.
Yeah,
That is
women's
one
lingerie.
Massive set of over-the-shoulder boulder holders.
Yes,
It's like Petticoat Junction, right, Liz?
It is, Nick. Yes, Jeff.
Be careful. The two 1-gallon sized pistons crank out 24 horsepower. Whee! The Genius space-saving design will surprise you when everything you could possibly need will be found in or on the new Juliet's unique nature cruiser, aka Junk, Junk. Dream big, Alpha Juliet. There's room for the family. May even have speed enough for towing a sailplane for family fun. And again, he's reporting from Wisconsin. This is Trucker Les.
Yeah.
But you know what, Les? You're more to us.
Exactly. He's more or less.
More or less.
More or less.
Yeah, so you really do have to. Go ahead.
Isn't the favorite instructor saying more right rudder? More yaw?
Yeah, more yaw.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
He's every instructor's worst nightmare.
Yeah, he is. All right.
Anyway,
So
you
we
missed
have
out
some.
there, AJ. You could have had that.
It's really, you got to check out the pictures in the show notes. Yeah. And again, every podcast should have a link to the APG, in this case, 676 show notes and pictures, and you can follow along and see. And if your player includes chapter images, then you can see a selection of some of these photos that accompany Les's feedback.
I'd really like to know what the function is of the barrel attached to the right rear wheel that appears to stay upright.
Oh, that's JATO, Jet Assisted Takeoff.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like it's on a pivot, does it not?
Yeah. Well, it just intermittently fires. Just, like at the right time to keep
it's
that
like
wheel.
Catherine wheel, presumably.
Yeah. Who's Catherine?
She's the one with the wheel.
And the one that wears all that lingerie.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Those
Sturdy woman.
All right. With that, thank goodness, we're going to end the show. We're going to wrap it up by pointing you over to our website, airlinepilotguy.com, where, again, we have not done a ding-dang thing to update it. So, but, just some good stuff on there. Check it out. And you never know when we actually will make everything up to date there. So keep checking back. Okay.
Keep the suspense alive.
Yeah, and we are also on social media. And somebody's going to tell us about that.
We're on Facebook at facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. We're on X, otherwise known as Twitter, to the rest of us, at APG Crew. And basically, if you search APG Crew on Instagram or YouTube or Airline Pilot Guy, in either of those places, you're going to find us.
Yeah, it'll work eventually.
Nice one.
Just keep plugging. All right. Oh, it went dark again. And we're
that's 4 you owe me now.
Yeah. It's going to be 100 before I die.
Oh wait. I hear the water running in the shower. Hello. Can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
Come on over here and tell us all about it, sir.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and plain tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel.
Wow.
Brilliant.
I guess Dana's there with Hillel in the bathroom. Interesting. Okay.
Awkward.
Yeah, very awkward. All right. And we'd also like to thank our producer, Liz Piper. Thank you for all the hard work, Liz. We really do appreciate it. And we also appreciate everybody here in our live audience, our live chat room. Hey, you should check it out sometime, dear listener. Look for the notifications that Liz puts out a couple times before we do the show, and that's on the aforementioned social media sites, especially X and Facebook. And finally, I guess it's time for us to say goodbye. Thank you again for listening to our show and telling all your friends and enemies about us. And with that, we're going to wish you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Just off for now.
You're welcome.
See you next time.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the airline pilot guy.
Meep, meep. Good day.
I used to be such a good pilot till I started APG. I opened doors for little old ladies. I helped them to their seats. airline pilot guy. I fly Omega, airline pilot guy. He can land in heavy fall. I got no friends cause I'm always flying. I just don't have the time. But I can land this old plane. I can land it just fine. Airline pilot guy. I fly